Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. Doing good. Had an interesting weekend. Didn't do a whole lot weekend, which was good in some ways, but it was also yesterday was like an off day. It was just off for me mentally. So I read. I had a topic for today. I don't remember what that topic was, but then I received this package, this kind of a surprise in the mail. It's not really a surprise. I was hoping to one day receive this package, but it's been completely out of my mind for quite a while now. It's been completely out of my mind for this entire year at least, and probably since last November. So I just kind of distanced myself from it, but this is the prototype to Rival Rails. This is the version that I took with me to Spiel Essen, and I gave to a publisher who wanted to playtest it more and see if it was going to be a good fit for them. And they ultimately decided it was not. They gave me some good feedback. I think we talked about this already. We maybe didn't talk about the specifics. This version of the game that I took with me, I think I had made a few changes to it right before going to Essen that weren't necessarily play tested, and that's okay. This prototype at that point was so mature and so front of mind for me that I could easily make changes without the need to fully vet my ideas because I could see it. Now that I haven't played this game since October, coming up on 10 months or whatever that is, not 10 months, coming up on 8 months, I haven't played this game. I don't think I could modify. I need to play it. I haven't played it in all that time. Their feedback essentially came down to the end game just kind of happens and there's no real payoff, which I understand. Like, it's a train game. This is the kind of game where there's just these little incremental gains, and in this particular game, those gains get smaller as the game goes on. So you start off, you get big payouts, and then by the end of the game, you're getting very small payouts. And so it has almost a reverse incentive. Like, you're still getting payouts, and they're still beneficial, and you still want to go for them, but you're not having these huge turns, which feels a little anticlimactic. I get it. Part of that was that last summer at our wedding, my friend and I, Jeff, who honestly, by the time this game gets published, I will probably credit Jeff as a co-designer. I think he's put enough work into it to justify that. The market was a little bit weird. It doesn't follow actual economic markets, and we had discussed ways to fix that, and we came up with one. And the fix was to, instead of things getting incrementally more valuable, things get less valuable as time goes on. Again, flip the market. It makes more economic sense. As more people enter the market gets smaller and smaller. Your shares get smaller and smaller. And so it economically works very well. But ultimately, it makes for a very unfulfilling end because you're just like, well, I did the thing, and then now we count our money and see who won. And it just doesn't work. I know that. That's great. I don't have a clear picture on how to fix it. But this version also includes I have made changes. I actually did, another publisher I showed this to gave me feedback, gave me some of the best feedback I had received that encouraged me to kind of get away from the bank in this game. As it is right now, the game is a train game, so there's payouts for doing various, for making connections, getting shares, you get payouts, but there's also things that cost money, like in a normal train game where you put trains on the map and then you have to pay for those, and then so there's all this going to the bank that they wanted eliminated. The other publisher wanted eliminated. And after I thought about it for a little while, I agree with them. Like, this game is this isn't a train game. It is. It is a train themed game. But this is not an 18xx. This is not that kind of game where you're making these, these little maneuvers to devalue your opponent's stock or whatever. That doesn't happen here. This is more of a kind of, in some ways, an area control game, but more like a route control game, or more like it's like an access control game. And I'm not controlling an area. I'm just trying to, in some ways, I'm hoping to keep you out of that area, or to make it extra expensive for you to enter an area, which means that I get to hold on to my value longer. And so I cut most of the banking out. I decided that it is a card-driven game, meaning that you have a hand of cards that you play from each turn. And so instead of using money to make all those little microtransactions, why don't I use your hand as payment? So you slowly throughout the game, you have to discard cards, which means you have less choices in your hand. Your hand size gets smaller in order to do things. And I found that to be a pretty interesting and compelling way of doing things. And it means that you go to the bank way less often, basically once or maybe twice a turn if you make 2 connections on a turn. That was very cool. That was a very cool realization. So there is an updated version of this game sitting upstairs. I printed it out probably last November or December, and I have not played it. I haven't had anybody over in my house in 6 months. I haven't had anybody over to play games. So I haven't tested it. But I realized that the feedback that I received from this publisher that had this prototype does not, the new prototype doesn't address this. This is its own thing. The feedback that I got from this publisher is its own thing. And here's the thing. The feedback I got from this publisher is not wrong. The game is anticlimactic. But I might be okay with that. I think that turns are still interesting. I think that you're, ultimately from turn 1 to turn, I think I shortened it. This is probably around a 10 turn game, so you get about 10 turns, maybe 12 at most. 10 to 12 turns, they're all the same. You're trying to figure out, with the cards in your hand, with the abilities you have in play, how to maximize your turn to earn the most value, or to, again, restrict your opponent's access to an area to reduce your opponent's value. That's the same thing you do from turn 1 to turn 10 and or 12. And it doesn't get easier, but it also doesn't get harder. There's no real restriction. Like, it's just do the thing 10 to 12 times to see who wins. I think I'm probably okay with it. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it not being a good fit for this particular publisher. And so maybe I disregard this feedback. I don't know yet. I need to play. But I think, I don't think this is the year for it. I think, who knows? Gen Con will be here very soon. It's less than 2 months away. July might see me frantically trying to throw together a new prototype to take and show to publishers, or to reach out to the other publishers who wanted to see it, because they did mention that Gen Con was an option, or to just play with friends and see what they think. I don't know yet. Right now, though, I'm excited to have it back in my hands. I'm happy to have it back in my hands, and it's not triggering any sort of emotion yet. I'm going to let it kind of sit where I can see it, and see if maybe it says, hey, why don't you do something with me? Because I want to see this project finished. I want to be able to offer a version of this product to the 3 or 4 of you that would want to purchase it. I need to figure out how to do that, and then I think I'm okay with it. I think I'm okay with just that being the end goal. Show it to a few people. If they want to publish it, great. If not, it can just exist like this. But I need to see it finished someday. Just not right now. What'd you get up to this weekend? I did read books, and I don't really have anything to talk about in that front. I'm reading another book right now that I'm very much enjoying, and I probably will talk about soon. But like I said earlier, it was a kind of a lax weekend. So, yeah. Let me know what you got going on. Let me know if you have any questions or things you want to talk about in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is volitional. Volitional? Volitional. It's an adjective meaning describes an action performed or thought achieved through deliberate and conscious effort. Our servants' persistent and volitional attention to detail makes them absolutely indispensable to us. Volitional. V-O-L-I-T-O-I-O-N-A-L. I like that. That's a very cool word. For some reason, I was thinking vocational. Like, I kept thinking that they would have some sort of overlap with vocation, but it doesn't really. Volitional.